look at challenges and we try to see how we can find opportunities. So what we have done, just yesterday we passed a number of air service agreements with a couple, Rwanda and so on, and we have interest now coming out of other source markets apart from the US. So we're trying to expand just to cover all the bases and to really ensure that we're not just too dependent on one destination. And that's not just because of what is happening, that's our strategy that we have had going forward. So yes, there's some concern, but the other thing I think that I think Mr. James had mentioned that might be worth noting is the fact that Antigua is considered a high-end destination. And so we figure that even if there is some challenges, whether it is economic or whatever, we will manage to survive that. That's what I would say to that. You want to add anything? Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Abel here. Two questions from me. One, piggybacking off of that same question, how is the, I know to an extent you're saying it's a high-end, Antigua and Barbuda is a high-end destination, but also how would the hotels, or how are the hotels preparing for a potential fall-off? Even though you're focusing primarily on the high-end, I'm sure there's some other hotels that are not going to get those high-end arrivals. And also, generally, how is the government preparing, not just the tourism sector, but the country itself, for the potential fall-off from tourist arrivals? Because what, 70% of the GDP comes from tourism.
Okay, Craig is going to answer that.
I think it's a very interesting question, and again, I think you have to look at the private and public sector collaboration. When you look at the visitor arrivals for last year, CARICOM or Caribbean overtook Canada, and I think that's one of the factors that we have in Antigua that's in our favor because of our destination and where we're located. We can not just attract the Southern Caribbean, but also the Northern Caribbean. And our visitor arrivals are booming, particularly out of markets like Trinidad and Jamaica. So I think diversifying the market is probably one of the most important things. And you know, in terms of ourselves as private sector, not just as the Hotel Association in Antigua, but also in the Caribbean, that's where we're advocating for, is ensuring that we have more affordable airlift into the destination. You know, sometimes it's cheaper to fly to Miami than it is to Grenada. And sometimes it actually takes longer to fly to Grenada than it does to fly to London from Antigua. So working with the airlines, working with the governments in order to ensure we have efficiency in our air travel for Caribbean people is one of the most important things that I foresee in building resilience in travel. I think for far too long we've looked at the Caribbean as a market that is utilized in the off-season or in the summer, but now we are starting to see that that travel is becoming more resilient. So I think that's something for us that we need to continue to focus on. And I know Charmaine and her team here at the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority has done an excellent job in growing those numbers. So I just want to say thank you and the recognition to your team for what you've done.